Grove-Lindon Chamber of Commerce, and we're excited to have our presidential, our candidate debate, our mayoral and city council debate for the city of Pleasant Grove. First of all, we'd like to thank doTERRA for hosting us. If we could give them a round of applause. They have this wonderful facility here, and not only that, but they're going to be expanding. They recently announced several buildings that they're going to be bringing in around the area, including they're adding to their warehouse structure. It's going to be more than doubling in size. And so we're excited for all that they're doing for the community. I don't have my little program here, so can someone tell me what's first? Pledge of Allegiance or our national anthem? Who's got the program with them? There's a cajillion programs somewhere. All right, so prayer first. So I've asked one of our chamber members, Jake Hoyt, who is with Rock Canyon Bank. He's going to come offer a prayer, and then we'll go from there.
Our dear, kind, and gracious Heavenly Father, we're thankful for the opportunity to gather together today as concerned citizens and members of Pleasant Grove. We're so thankful for this wonderful city, for the opportunities we've had to live here and raise our families here. We're so thankful for the leadership and the members of City Council and the mayors that have gone before, who have paved the way to have such a wonderful city. We ask Thee that tonight they'll be with the candidates for mayor and for city council, that they'll be able to say what they would like to say, that they'll be able to express their ideas with clarity and with conviction. We're thankful for all our many blessings, and we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Okay, then we will follow with a Pledge of Allegiance, and that will be led by our friend from Tabitha's Way, Mike Carter. I knew it was a Carter.
Will the audience rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Mike. Okay, thank you, Mike. And then finally, the national anthem will be sung and performed by the internationally acclaimed Saltaires, who recently took 11th place in the International Barbershop Chorus Competition in Las Vegas. So again, please rise for the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free, and the home of the brave.
All right, thank you so much. John Sassine, who is the director of the choir, he's actually a business owner here in Pleasant Grove. He owns Rocky Mountain Recycling, and so we're thankful he was able to come bring his chorus out and participate tonight. So we'd like to invite now at this time our mayoral candidates to come up, Cyd LeMone and Guy Fugal. You're welcome to cheer for them if you'd like. Okay. Just hold his over then. All right. And the format for tonight, I will actually be the moderator, and we've had several people submit questions beforehand. And so I have a list of questions here. And so we'll give 4 minutes to each candidate for opening statements. And then we'll try to go through as many questions as possible. So each question will give each candidate 90 seconds to answer the question. And then we'll give them each 30 seconds as a rebuttal time if they require that. And so that's kind of the format for our mayoral candidates. We'll go until about 7:45, 7:50, and then we'll take a brief break as we get set for the city council debate. And so without further ado, if you'll hit the little button there on each of your mics so that the Cyd's is on, make it so the light is green. There you go. And we'll just go alphabetically here. So Guy Fugal, let's have you start with your introductions.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you tonight, and some of you know me really well here, and some of you don't. You know, I've lived here all my life.
Have it close up.
Closer?
Yep.
How's that? That better? Got to kind of hang over here a little bit here. So, I've lived in Pleasant Grove my entire life. You know, my great-grandfather came here in the 1870s, and was part of a group of people who immigrated here from Denmark, and I'm proud of my heritage. And I have 2 daughters and 8 grandchildren and 2 wonderful son-in-laws, and a good wife who's supporting me, and I'm very pleased to be able to run for mayor of Pleasant Grove. There's several things I want to accomplish as your mayor, and that is to bring everybody together. And we have a lot to do. We have roads to work on. We have other things that are pressing in our community. But it's a real passion to me that we work together in our community and solve our problems. And I think you'll see some of the issues here tonight. And I'm just grateful for those people who support me. Oh.
I'm just waiting for the time. So. Thank you. Well, thank you for coming tonight. Thank you to Josh Walker with the Pleasant Grove-Lindon Chamber of Commerce, and to doTERRA for hosting, and to all of you for coming out, because I know that we're all busy, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come and learn more about the candidates that could be representing you and your family. I'm a lifelong resident and proud to call Pleasant Grove home. And it's a really amazing place to live, not just because we live at the base of beautiful mountains, but because of the people and the heritage and the history that we have here. I attended Utah Valley University and received a bachelor's degree in business management, and worked for 12 years as a financial aid advisor, where I helped college students earn funding so they could achieve their college education dreams, and that was very rewarding. After college, my husband and I had a decision to make, like many of you, and that was where to raise a family. And we decided to stay here in Pleasant Grove. And I'm very grateful that we did, because like I said, it's an amazing place to live and to raise your family. We are raising 3 boys, ages 17, 14, and 10, so they keep us very busy. And I have been involved in our local schools for over 12 years. In fact, I got started at Valley View Elementary when my son is in kindergarten, and he's a senior in high school now. And that experience I had serving on the PTA and in the school and in the classroom is one of the reasons I ran for city council. I had such a positive experience that I decided I wanted to try and serve my community in a different way. And that's when I ran. I attended Grove Crest Elementary, Pleasant Grove Junior High, and Pleasant Grove High School, and I share that with you because I truly believe that our local schools are the heart of our community, and that's why I'm passionately involved with our schools. And we bleed blue. We are Vikings, and always have been, always will be. In fact, my husband was on the state championship winning football team in 1994. Go Vikings. And we're still talking about that 25 years later. In fact, we hung his jersey up in our home. You'd think that he won the Super Bowl in the NFL, but no, he's a Viking. So that just shows a little bit of our Viking pride. I also have ancestors here in Pleasant Grove. In fact, Shadrach Ford Driggs was one of my ancestors back from 1863, and he was a councilman. And I'm proud to follow in his footsteps and hopefully carry on that legacy that he started. And I'm sure my kids are happy that I found this out after they were born, so they wouldn't have the name Shadrach anywhere in their names. But nonetheless, it's a pretty awesome story. So again, thank you all for coming, and I look forward to sharing my views with you tonight. I've been working hard, and I'm going to do everything I can to serve as your next mayor. Thank you for coming.
All right, so we'll just get started with the questions here. Again, it's not an easy thing to run for public office. You put your name out there in front of the public, and a lot of times you'll get the good and the bad, mostly the bad, where people will come and complain to you and tell you all their woes and all the problems and expect that you have answers to fix every single issue out there. And I'm sure that they, over the last few months, have had a lot of opportunity to meet with people and learn about the issues that are facing the city. And so we're excited for them to be able to present that to everyone here tonight. We are recording this, and we will make this available via YouTube as well as on the city website and the chamber website. And so if you know people that wanted to be here that aren't able to be here, we'll let you refer them to that YouTube video where you'll be able to see the mayoral debate as well as the city council debate. So the first question, and I'm not going to read names, I'm just going to read the questions. That way there's no bias by anyone as to who this question is coming from or why is it being asked. So the first question, what is your leadership style? And can you show leadership by guiding the city administrator in the appropriate direction instead of allowing them to run the city however they see fit? So basically, how are you going to use your leadership style to work with the current city staff? So Cyd, we'll start with you on this one.
Well, I've had the opportunity to work with our amazing city staff over the past 6 years. I have a great relationship with each director head, and I'm proud to say that I have worked closely with them with their budgets, with the needs that they have in their department, and it's very important as a mayor and as a leader to have a positive relationship with the people that you serve and that serve you. And I believe that our department heads are doing the very best they can with the budget that they have, and we need to try to meet their needs. I've been able to, on the council, serve them, and like I said, and also find out weekly in council meeting what they need to do their jobs. My job as a facilitator to make sure they have their tools and what they need. My style of leadership is I like to be involved, but not to the point where it's a burden on our director level positions. I want to make sure the job gets done, and if a resident has a question or if a resident has a concern, I'm not afraid to call those department heads and talk to them about it and see how we can address that, because we need to work together as a team. And I will do everything I can as a mayor to continue that positive relationship, because that's important to me. When you have good staff that are happy and like their jobs, then in turn we as residents benefit from that.
You know, I've had the opportunity to be part of a 90-plus-year-old construction firm that was founded here in Pleasant Grove by my grandfather. And it's over the last 50 years, I've had the great opportunity to start at the bottom and have many leadership opportunities, and to the effect of I'm chairman of the Niels Fugal Sons Company now. But you know, that's given me a perspective, and I was able to apply my leadership style and to be just, I lead by wandering around. I go and check out all my projects over the years and empower people to do their job, but I just are there and there to support them. You know, as far as the city goes, I plan as my leadership style, is first thing off the bat, is to sit down with each director and spend time with them, and probably have to do it in their office because the mayor doesn't have an office right now, so that's an interesting situation. But anyway, I plan to sit down with them and find out how I can help them do their job, which will entail that they will serve all you residents of Pleasant Grove to their best ability, and we get the best bang for our buck. You know, my leadership style is lead by example.
That's your
I'm willing to
time.
do anything.
Time just went off.
Time is up.
Thank you. So just as a note, our timer here is Christina Wiesman. She's our office administrator for the chamber, and you'll hear a little horn go off if you go over time.
Okay.
All right, for the next question, so a lot of people submitted questions that are all very similar in theme, and so I'll kind of try to wrap them all up into groups. But the next question is, how and what would you do about bridging the divide that our city currently faces to ensure a fair chance of all sides and points of view are taken into consideration and listened to? And Guy, we'll start with you.
Yeah, we do have a divide. You know, I think as a mayor needs to sit down with both sides and see if we can come to the same table. And, excuse me. Sorry about that. My phone's Bluetooth, my hearing aid, so anyway, I forgot to turn it off.
We won't count that against your
You won't count
time.
that on my time there. So anyway, I didn't want to carry on another conversation there, so. But we do have a divide, and as mayor, I anticipate spending a lot of time sitting down with both sides and seeing where we have common ground and where we can form an alliance and go forward and make this a community that we can all be happy to live in. You know, there's too many issues going both ways, and we don't win by being at odds with people. We need to come together, and we need to have everybody on the same page, and that's what my goal is.
You know, a divide to a certain extent is healthy when there are opposing sides that can bring ideas that you can compromise on, and sometimes it brings out the best ideas. It's when it turns disrespectful and uncivil that we need to take a step back and really look and see how we can solve the problem. I've been involved now for 6 years, and I've been in the middle of the divide and on sides of the divide, and I chose a couple years ago to not continuing to focus on it. And so I have spent my time on the Strawberry Days Committee, on the Heritage Days Committee, on the Follow the Flag Committee, and I found that when I'm serving my community, that divide diminishes. And I think if we all spent some extra time finding in ourselves how we want to heal the divide, we're going to see that line start to come together. And I think it's important that it's not just one person or a group of people that's responsible to heal 38,000 people. It's up to each one of us and how we act. I can't control anyone but myself, and I need to lead by example as your mayor and as a council member, and I feel that I've done that. I've tried to be respectful, I've tried to be kind, and it's actually just very simple. Just be kind. Whether it's on social media, in person, with politics, religion, just treat people as you would want to be treated. And there's some heated debate and issues happening, but I think if we just take a step back and think if we really want to come together as a community, find ways to serve each other, find ways to be kind, and it will happen, and we'll be able to come back together. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. As you come in, there are plenty of seats, especially toward the front, so please make your way and find yourself a seat. All right, for the next question, let's see, I need to keep track of who goes first. I think this goes to Guy this time. Or it goes to Cyd.
I'm ready. Bring it on.
So, Christina, you need to keep me on track, okay? All right, next question, fairly blunt. Do you support Proposition 3, yes or no, and why?
No, I do not support Prop 3. There are several reasons. Number one, to take 20% out of our general fund, $2.6 million would be hurting our city. I believe there are other sustainable and responsible ways to fund our roads. And number one is a road fee. Number two is new sales tax revenue. And number three, as your mayor, we need to be lobbying at the state legislature for more funding because 78% of our funding comes from the state. So it's a job as mayor to make sure that we're reaching out to those entities to do everything we can for that additional funding. Prop 3 does not help us. It hurts our city. I believe in the services our city provides. I don't believe it's right to take from one service and give to another. We need to make sure that we are focusing on the services and not raising those taxes. We already have people leaving for business. We certainly don't need them leaving to go to other cities for recreation and sports and a library and a pool. We want to keep our people here in Pleasant Grove. And voting no to Prop 3 would allow us to keep our services as they are, watching for inefficiencies, and if we need to adjust the budget and make some responsible cuts, as we've done in the past, we can certainly do that. But Prop 3 does not give us the flexibility we need to fix our roads. So therefore, I am against the prop.
Prop 3, that's a question that a lot of people ask, and they think, well, maybe that's a solution for funding our roads if we just take it off the top. And I appreciate those people who put that together, but I think it was poorly written, and I think we could have had something else that was similar to that, but maybe didn't tie the city's hands so well and where we needed to spend the money. And I wholeheartedly agree with everything that Councilman LeMone said about Prop 3 and that we should vote no on it.
Just for a point of clarification, if either of you feel like you need a rebuttal time, then just please ask for it. Then we will allow that to you, and we'll allow both of you to do that. Otherwise, we'll just keep going.
I think we're in agreement on that.
Yeah, do you want to rebuttal on Prop, no on Prop?
We're good.
Okay.
Good, there's a lot of arguments already. Healthy debate, healthy debate. Okay, a lot of people have asked a similar question. What do you think Pleasant Grove should look like in the next 5, 10, 20 years? What is your vision for Pleasant Grove for the future?
Well, I think my vision for the future, that we'll have a lot smoother roads and we can drive around without spilling your coffee on you when you go down one of the roads, or your Coke or whatever. But anyway, that's one of my visions. I mean, I think you'd all agree with that. But I think in the next 10, 15 years, we're going to see a big change, especially down here in this area here. We've got one last chance, and I know we'll talk about it more, but I think this is where we're going to see a major change in our community, and I think we're going to be able to have a bigger tax base that we're going to offer more services and better things for our community. So I see only the great things ahead of us in our community in the next 15, 20 years. I think a lot of it, Pleasant Grove will still be small. I mean, we can't grow much bigger than we're just about built out. In the next several years, I think we'll be there. But it's still going to be a nice community that we'll all be proud of, and we'll have a good base to work with. Thank you.
My vision of Pleasant Grove for the next 10, 15 years is that we are going to do everything we can to build out this grove, because that is where our sales tax and retail are going to be coming. And we need that money to help fix our roads, to help fund other needs in the city. And I have fought as a council member to bring in new business. I've offered incentives to anchor developments such as doTERRA and the 6-story tower. And now we have a restaurant coming, we have a hotel coming. My first year on the council, I put a moratorium and worked with other council members to put a moratorium on high-density housing. and that reduced high-density housing because every square inch that we have left out in that grove should be for retail and sales and office and anything we can to increase our property tax base. Roads is a symptom of a larger problem we've had for many years, and that is lack of sales and lack of business. And I'm proud to say that since my time on the council, we have been able, to increase sales tax by 34%. We've developed 116 acres out in the Grove, and I am proud of my record and be able to say that that is the future of our city. What I love about Pleasant Grove is that can be the business area down there, and we can keep our small town feel up on Main Street, in our parks, and up in the east area of Pleasant Grove. We have the best of both worlds, and we need to make sure we're utilizing the best of both worlds and doing everything we can to maximize our revenue and keep bringing in business.
All right, the next question. Tell us about a time in your life when you were not proud of the way you behaved. What did you learn from that experience?
Am I first?
Yep, I think that's yours.
Okay, let's see, Mom.
Wow.
Let's see, we have Mom, wife, council member, Pete, okay. You know what, we all make mistakes, and there's been times in council meeting when things have been heated, and there's issues that come up, and I would say that there's been times when I've treated someone not the way I would want to be treated. And I found that person after and apologized, and we've worked through it. We all make mistakes, and I'm not afraid to admit when I make mistakes. I've been able to learn from two great mayors before me, Mayor Bruce Call and Mayor Mike Daniels, and I've watched how they've worked with the public, and I've watched how they've interacted with the staff, and it's given me an opportunity to learn how I would want to be as a mayor. And I think it, again, comes back to how would we want to be treated. So yes, as a council member, I have made mistakes. And like I said, when there's a heated topic or issue, it's easy to lose your cool. But I've learned, and it's taken many years to learn, how I should represent my community. And I want my boys at the end of the day to be proud of how I act. And if they can see me as an example, that's the most important thing to me. But that's how I should act, and I apologize to anyone in the audience here that I've offended as a council member. It's not an easy job, and that's no excuse, but if I've made a mistake, I'd like to right that.
You know, when I grew up in this community, there were 6,000 people here, or somewhere around that. And when you did something wrong, it didn't take long before your mom and dad knew about it. And I won't tell you what they were, but anyway, and there was a few. And what really struck me is that, you know, the biggest thing about sometimes when you mess up is disappointing your parents, and you never want to do that. But now you shift gears and you become an adult, and you go forward and you get in some public service, and you sometimes you wish you could take back some works you did. My 19 years on the Alpine School District, and my mother always defended me when the Herald would write and would talk about maybe some things I brought up, and I'll apologize for all of you in here right now for when I called the Lehigh City Council a bunch of whiny butts, okay? And that hit the paper, you know, so it's, and they deserved it then, but you know, we can't call Lehigh whiny butts anymore, you know. I'm sorry, we can't, so.
All right, the next question. Someone said, all I hear about is roads. That's great, but what about all the other aging infrastructure, like water lines and other utilities that in the future will need to be replaced before roads can be rebuilt on top of them? What are your ideas and or plans for this?
You know, that's probably a point there on Prop 3 also. That's one thing wrong with Prop 3 is that it didn't address any of the utilities. I mean, that money was just basically has to go to roads, and that's another reason why it was poorly written. There should have been a thing where we could do utilities there, and it might have won a little more support. But, we have to replace, and and especially in our 3-year road plan right now, it's systematic. We're planning to replace some storm drains and water lines and fix the sewer lines before we repave that road, so we don't have to come back in 5 years and dig the road up. So there is a plan, and we have to have that before we can rebuild the roads. And so as you see, I'm all about getting the roads rebuilt, but I'm also all about getting our infrastructure underneath repaired first.
So with our history and heritage comes the fact that we are a 167-year-old city as of September 13th, and we have a very old infrastructure underneath our roads. Our pipes and water lines are aging, and they're old, and they have deteriorated or are deteriorating. I brought with me our 3-year road plan. And one of the 4 points of the 3-year road plan is to focus on roads where we can benefit from coordination with utility projects. Utility installations and repairs are one of the principal culprits of accelerated pavement deterioration. By selecting appropriate road projects and that correspond with necessary utility repairs and upgrades, we not only eliminate the need to cut newly constructed or refurbished roads, but also benefit from overlapping budgets. This results in a net savings to the city by not paying for the trench repair and the road surface work separately. We've had this plan in place for a few years now, and our Public Works Director, Marty Beaumont, has had 17 years experience working with roads. And I love that this is one of the points of our 3-year road plan, so we can address those utilities and not continue to cut into the roads without fixing them first. Now, are water breaks going to happen? Yes, they will, and they have, and will continue to. But we're going to do our best to address the roads that have that infrastructure needed to be repaired first under them. And I'm fully in support of Marty and his assessment of the roads, and I think we need to do everything we can to address that utility issue. And our 3-year road plan does that.
Okay, the next question is, what is your stance on tax incentives given to businesses looking to come to Pleasant Grove?
Absolutely. If we want people to invest in Pleasant Grove, we should be willing to invest in them. That specifically means anchor developments. Now, can we give an incentive to every business that comes in? No, but if they're going to bring millions and millions of dollars, and they're going to bring thousands of jobs, yes, I will vote in favor of incentives. That's how doTERRA got here. That's how the 6-story building got here. And because of the 6-story tower and doTERRA and the jobs they brought in, we now have an R&R barbecue coming. We have a hotel coming. And I'm proud to say that I will vote in favor of incentives every time. If it makes sense for the city and the business, it can be a win-win for our community.
I agree wholeheartedly. We have to have those tax incentives. So everything that Councilman LeMone has said that I agree with. So let's move on.
Okay. So someone wrote, "We are sad to see such a wonderful mayor leaving and are looking forward to the future. In your opinion, what was the best thing Mayor Mike Daniels did to contribute while in office, and what would you emulate?"
I think Mayor Daniels has done a terrific job. It's for either one of us, there's big shoes to fill there. He's done a great job. I think one of his best accomplishments was seeing and pushing and getting the council in the right direction on the Grove development down here. I mean, that's the key issue right there. I know there's other things that he wanted to accomplish and he wasn't able to do, but one of the big ones he did do also was finally get a bond passed so we can get a new fire station and a public safety building and courts building. That was one of probably his biggest accomplishments, and I'm glad I'm going to be around to see that building come out as part of the Public Safety Citizens Committee and see it come out and completed. And I think we'll all be proud of that building, and it'll be one that'll be to serve us for many years down the road.
I've had the opportunity to work with Mayor Daniels over the past 4 years, and I consider him a friend, and I consider him a mentor. There's a few things that I've appreciated about him as mayor. Number one, the way he works with the public. He's very calm. He's a great mediator. He listens to both sides, and I appreciate that, and that is something that I would like to emulate as a mayor. Number two, the public safety building. Mike said in a meeting that I attended with him a couple weeks ago that his main goal was to make sure the bond passed and try to bring people together. And he met with that public safety building committee for over a year on a weekly basis. That was a lot of his time and effort, especially when his business is booming and he needed to be focused on other things. He wanted to make sure that he was elected to do that job, and he did it. And now we're going to be breaking ground in the next couple months on a public safety building. I want to do that same thing that Mike has done, where he sets a goal and he follows it through to the very end. And I want to make sure that I can speak to the public the way he's done and be that role model in city council meeting. I appreciate his service, and I'll be sad to see him go, but I'm excited for the opportunity that we will have to have a different perspective of mayor in office.
So there are several questions that came in talking about the budget. And so just kind of sum it all up, what measures would you take to determine where wasteful spending is, and how would you address it or cut the wasteful spending if there is?
Okay. Well, each year I've had the opportunity to review our budget and pass a budget and amend a budget, and I've worked with multi-million-dollar budget while serving on city council. We have an amazing award-winning finance director that oversees the day-to-day operations. And last year in 2016, we asked our department heads to go through and cut money from their budgets to give to the roads. They came up with $130,000. Now, I don't know if we'll be able to do that every year. It may not be possible to continue taking from those departments, but they were willing to do that, and we oversaw that process. If there is waste to be had, then yes, it needs to be examined and looked at, and we need to reevaluate the budget. And we have done that every year. I've approved a balanced budget every year, and by state law, we have to, but there's times when things kind of start leaning one way or the other, and you have to make sure that you're not just focusing on one area of the city, but multiple departments, because they all have needs. One thing I'm proud to say that I did was at the rec center, and this may seem simple, but it was a big deal to me. We have our annual pass sales in January, and we kind of were stagnant in the sales, and I asked them to take it online and extend the sale date. That increased revenue by $40,000 and has every year since for the past 2 years, and this year we're expected to exceed that. It's little changes like that to our budget that will increase our revenue and help with our overall need that we have in the city to put that money back to where it needs to be.
I agree with Cyd on her comments there wholeheartedly. But it goes back to my management style of wandering around, managing by wandering around, and sitting down with the directors and really find, okay, what can you do without, or what do you need, and see if there is any more we can cut out of those budgets. But I plan on using my experience on the Alpine School District. I sat many years on the budget committee, and they were many hours as we'd go through, and because there was only so many dollars, and we had to divide it up on what programs we were going to fund and which ones we were going to cut out. And I just apply that knowledge and what I learned there to the budget of Pleasant Grove, and really be able to analyze that and be able to know where we can find additional money if there's there.
Okay, and along the same lines of the budget, so this is a very specific question about the funding for roads. So JUB suggested Pleasant Grove invest $7 million for roads and set a baseline of $3.8 million for maintenance level repairs. Prop 3 looks to provide $2.2 million additional dollars to bring Pleasant Grove maintenance funds to the maintenance level. Do you see that as hyperfunding, adequate funding, or underfunding road repairs? How much total funds would you suggest the city spend in 2019?
Well, I'd like to be able to spend over $3 million on road in 2019, but we still got to find out where it's going to come from, because we don't have it right now. So we've either got to find a solution that's fair with everybody to do that. You know, I've got some ideas on, and I've met with the Public Works Director, and you know, what really upset more people than anything else in here is how rough the roads are. And we bounce through those cuts with the pressure irrigation. You know, in our business, we do a lot of, sometimes when we have to fix our own utility trenches, we have to put a slim coat on it, and that kind of makes the cities happy because everybody's got a smooth ride. And I propose we look at that with the council and see if we can come up with a solution, maybe, because it's not a lot of dollars, and we can go a lot further. Until we do get the dollars, we can fix a lot of places that are really bad now, and we'll feel like, hey, we haven't got these big chuck holes anymore. So that's one of the things I want to look at with the council, and different things I use in my profession when we have to repair roads.
We started reviewing options for a road fee about 2.5 years ago. And there are 9 options that we came up with, and it seems like a lot, but we're trying to balance the needs of the residents and the businesses and churches and schools who we want to assess the road fee to. What I like about a road fee is it is 100% directly to roads, and there's flexibility within the plan. We cannot bind a future council, but we can make sure that we get that revenue stream coming in. I do not believe in bonding for roads. That's why I support a road fee. And yes, we do need 3.8 annually according to the road study, but that's to catch us up over quite a few years. But it's better than where we are right now, so we need to get that revenue coming in. But I first want to hear from the public, and so I want to present 3 options to the public with a high, middle, and low tier, and get their feedback as to what they feel comfortable with for a road fee and how much you want to fund your roads. As far as the seal coat, and Guy, I appreciate your and respect your opinion on that. The seal coat is one of the least expensive treatments we can do at 35 cents a square foot. And yes, it's a quick fix, but we need to stop band-aiding our roads. We did that when the secondary water system was installed, and we're paying for that now. We need to do the best treatment and the right treatment for the right road. And we could seal coat the entire city, but in 1 or 2 years after the winter and the freeze thaw and our hot summers has deteriorated the road, we're going to be right back to square one. No more band-aids on the roads.
So let's give them each 30 seconds.
You know, Cyd, just a clarification, I'm not talking about, or as we know it, the seal coat. It's a skim patch that we do, and we just do it over the cut thing there, and it is a lot less than the seal coat. And I think next summer we ought to really look with our Public Works Department and do a trial thing and see if that is a solution we can do. So it's totally different than what anything we've done in Pleasant Grove before. And really, it may be able to extend the road's life for another 5 years doing that.
And I appreciate that, and I think if there's other options out there, we should be exploring every single option we can. And Marty Beaumont, again, our Public Works Director, is up to date with the latest technology and treatments, but if this has not been explored yet, absolutely, we need to look at any treatment to get our roads fixed more quickly, but making sure we are doing that without a Band-Aid. I want to see us fix it and not have to come back to that road for many, many years, so I'd love to look at that option.
Okay. All right, this is going to be the last question before your closing remarks. And basically the question is, what would you like to see be your legacy as mayor?
I think that is you.
My legacy as mayor is not about me, it's about the people that I serve. And it's about being an example first to my family, because I would love for them to be involved in their community as I have been. And I ran for city council because I want this to be a place where my sons can make their home when they decide to have a family. And maybe that's a selfish reason, but in the end, I know that many of you want your children and grandchildren to live here as well. So I just want my legacy to be of, one, that I'm a good example, one, that people feel my spirit and my passion and my enthusiasm behind Pleasant Grove. I want them to know how much I love the city. And it's not about a new building, or it's not about new roads, it's about how we treat each other as individuals. And I would like my legacy to be more about how I treated people on my time on the council than anything else, because at the end of the day, we're all going to be friends and neighbors, we're going to see each other at ball games, we're going to see each other at the store, and relationships are more important to me than those other things. So I'd like to just be positive and be a good example and have good relationships at the end of the day, and be friends with many of you for a very, very long time.
You know, I would hope my legacy would be that each of you felt like I cared for you, that I was there and I listened to you, debated with you, and hopefully we came to common ground. Another thing, I hope that I'd win the respect of all our city employees. There's 112 of them, full-time employees, and we need to take care of them. And any business, if you don't have good employees, you don't have anything, and they're not able to serve you. You know, there's not many people, well, let me back up. We've got a lot of great employees in this community, and a lot of them are getting close to retirement, especially in our Public Works Department. It'll be years down the road, and I don't know how we're going to replace them. Or we're going to replace that talent. You know, there's not many people, and I'm one of them, that gets excited getting up every morning and go jumping in a muddy, deep trench and fixing a water line. And I want them to know, hey, I'll be right there with them. And I hope they know that I've got their backs. And we're being on the EMS and the fire department, hey, I know all their troubles and their woes, the 20 years I spent there as a volunteer.
Okay, we'll give you each 2 minutes for your closing remarks.
I start?
I believe you start.
Yeah, I finished. You know, I've had a lot of people say, what are you running for mayor of Pleasant Grove? Haven't you got better things to do? Oh yeah, I got a lot more better things to do, but not right now. I mean, this is what I feel like I need to do. And I think I can be the leader that you need to lead you the next 4 years. And I don't know if I can accomplish it in 4 years, everything I need to get done, but I'm going to try. And I'll tell you who's really to blame why I'm here tonight running for mayor. And it's this woman sitting over here who is my mother, and she's 94 years old. And she leads by example. And you know, she taught us, along with my dad, that you give service. And I followed her around, and it was amazing the things she was able to accomplish in this community in giving service. And that's what it's all about. It's serving you, and it's been ingrained to me. You know, I worked with my father, and we'd work on different projects that we donated in Pleasant Grove on here, from the G to the Kiwanis Park, and it was always a full day on Saturday we were doing, if it wasn't some widow's sewer line we were putting in. From a very small boy, we always had those projects. And it was all about serving the people and giving back. And so that's what I want to do. I feel like I'm instilled to do that to you. And there's, you know, we have a lot of good people in this community. And we need to come together. And, you know, the other thing is, how do we communicate with each other? And I want to make a point here to you. I'm not a great Facebooker. Okay, you probably know that, but hey, people help me out with it. But come and talk to me face to face. That's my Facebook.
I know many of you are here tonight because you know both me and Guy personally, and you're conflicted about who to vote for. But there are three things that separate us as candidates, and let me say first, I consider Guy a friend, and I'm grateful that I'm running against someone that is respectful and that I have respect for. Number one is communication. I do believe I am a good Facebooker, and I've been able to reach out to over 6,300 people over a 4-year period and grow a page that people say they wake up and see what's going on in our city. Communication has been my number one priority since my first day in office back in 2012. And not only will that be a priority, but that will continue and it will also improve. And I have ideas to do that. And I will talk to you after if you're interested. With 38,000 residents, we need to be communicating with them through technology, social media. We need to be engaged and involved with email, text, and of course, in person. We need to do everything we can because that is the main role of a mayor. A mayor in Pleasant Grove does not vote. We are the spokesperson for the city and for you at the state, county, and local level. And I've been doing that for the past 6 years in office. The second thing that separates us is experience. Serving on the city council, I have been able to learn how to manage a city budget. I've been able to work with developers and CEOs and city staff and other council members and residents every Tuesday night. And it's taken a lot of time and effort, and I've made mistakes, but I've learned along the way, and I've prepared myself to serve as your mayor. Lastly is determination. When I took office, I was determined to give 110%. And I am proud to say, I believe I have done that. And I drug my family along the way, and they go to events with me, and we do everything we can to support our community. But at the end of the day, this is about what candidate has prepared themselves to be your mayor through community service, through supporting and promoting local business, and giving of themselves, but with the most recent and relevant experience. And I would like to be your next mayor. Thank you.
We'd like to thank both mayoral candidates for coming out tonight and addressing these questions. Let's give one more round of applause to Guy Fugal and Cyd LeMone. We're going to take a quick 10-minute break. If you'd like to submit some questions for the City Council debate, we still have some forms out there on the table, and I will take those before we start. So please be back in your seats no later than 8:03.
Well, thanks, Sid. Come on, yeah. That was a donation.
Everyone throw up the scout sign there. Okay, again, we'd like to thank everyone for coming out today for the City Council debate. Again, appreciate the mayoral candidates for coming out and answering those questions. So we have 4 City Council candidates that are running for 2 seats. And they went through the primaries, and these are the 4 people that got the most votes in the primary election. And so let's give them a round of applause for making it through. It's quite the crucible that you get put into, the refiner's fire that takes you and tosses you around like a rag doll and puts you back up, and hopefully you can still see straight by the time you get through that primary. And now here you are, and it's just going to be that much harder for this part of it. So we're going to give 2.5 minutes to each candidate to introduce themselves and do some opening remarks. And then after that, we'll go into the questions. Each question, we'll give each candidate 60 seconds to answer. And then if any one of them asks for a rebuttal period, then all of them will be given a 30-second period for rebuttal. And so we will start. We're just going to go alphabetically. We're going to start with Ben and go down the line. And then starting with the first question, we'll go to Blaine. He'll start, and then we'll go down the line and go back to Ben. So it'll just rotate like that throughout the night until we're done. So with that, Ben, go for it.
Thank you, Josh. It's an honor to be here tonight. My name is Ben Stanley. I'm running for City Council. I currently serve on the City Council. I'm coming to the conclusion of my first term, and I've loved it. It's been a great opportunity to be your servant, to be in the service of the people of Pleasant Grove. We have a great record, been proud of the things that we've accomplished, but would like to begin with some thanks, some expressions of gratitude. doTERRA has been an amazing partner for our city. Last week we were here in this very auditorium for a domestic violence town hall coordinated by one of our county commissioners, the chair of our county commissioners, but a great supporter of my campaign and a great commissioner who's done tremendous things for our county here. And it was neat to see our victims advocate, our police chief, and a lot of members of the community here and a lot of ecclesiastical leaders supportive of that event. This Friday, we're going to be having an economic development summit here at doTERRA. doTERRA has been wonderful, and would like to encourage everyone to express your appreciation if you see McKay Brown or others from doTERRA as you leave. Let them know how much you appreciate what they do for us in Pleasant Grove. Also like to thank Josh Walker and the Chamber of Commerce for hosting these events. Josh Walker was great to speak to our Rotary Club recently. I serve currently as the president of the Utah County Mount Timpanogos Rotary Club. I love that area of service. We do a lot of good in our area, and have very much appreciated the support and the great speakers that we have, including Josh. And thank you to each of you for being here tonight. It's a great event. So my background is I grew up an Air Force brat. My father was in the United States Air Force, military upbringing. I'm really proud to have the support of so many military veterans. You know, I see Rich Guernsey here. I know Craig Thorne was here earlier. People that have spoken at our various city Veterans Day and Memorial Day programs are tremendous supporters of my campaign, like Jay Fidel and Michael Isom, people that have done so much for our community. And it's really humbling to have people who have sacrificed so much of their own lives and risked so much to make sure we have the right to vote, stand with me and support me with their votes. It's an honor to know that people trust me to always stand up and do the right thing. In fact, I had somebody complimenting me tonight for always doing the right thing, whether it's popular or not. I always stand for principled solutions for our city. So I'd love to have your vote. My name again is Ben Stanley. My website's voteben.com. You can get information, yard signs out at the table. I'd love to visit with you more after this debate. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Blaine Thatcher. I've lived here in Pleasant Grove for almost 27 years now. My wife and I have raised our children here and have really enjoyed raising our family in Pleasant Grove. This is a wonderful community, and I hope that we can keep it the wonderful community that it has always been. My background is in accounting. I have an accounting degree from Brigham Young University, and I've worked for the last 30 years in the accounting industry in various capacities. I have my own accounting practice, and I help small businesses develop a management information system that handles their accounting needs and handles their budgetary requirements. And so I have a bit of experience in helping businesses make difficult budget decisions and being able to manage their businesses effectively. I never thought in my life that I would enter into politics in any way, and some would say that maybe I still haven't, so I don't know. But I got involved several years back because I was concerned about the direction our city was going financially. And being an accountant, I said, well, I need to know what's really going on. And so I started digging into the financial statements of the city to begin to understand. And I became a little concerned with what I found. And so I realized that knowing what I know, I can't remain silent. I need to stand up and to stand for principle and try to help our city be fiscally responsible and run efficiently the way that I know that it can. And I believe in the citizens of Pleasant Grove. I believe that our tax dollars can be used more effectively and that we can accomplish all of the things we need to do here in the city, like fix our roads, maintain our infrastructure, and maintain our other services.
Hi, I'm Diana Anderson. If anybody was here at the primary debate, I had a very difficult time staying focused and answering the question. So bear with me, because I've made some notes for myself this time. I'm going to stay on track. Tonight we have a really wonderful opportunity, and hopefully by the end of this night you will know if you and I align. Hopefully you'll know how I go about making my decisions. Hopefully you'll know that I am dedicated to spending my time learning, educating myself, listening, and being very open to conversations. Hopefully you'll understand and how I feel about our city management, our city finances. Hopefully you'll find out that I am very open, that I'm not mean-spirited, that I enjoy listening. That's my goal for you and I, to see if we align. I also grew up traveling around the world. My dad was also in the Air Force. I married Orrin, Utah County boy. We moved to Pleasant Grove. We chose our house because I'm a block away from the library, the pool, the rec center, and the school. We have 7 children. I'm also a block away from the parade route. We've lived here for 26 years. I just recently graduated from the Alpine School District consecutively with my twins when they graduated in June. 8 years ago, I started this ride of serving in the city. I was on the Planning Commission for 4 years, and then I was elected 4 years ago and have served on the City Council, and I have learned a lot. And what I'm asking is that I get to use the skills that I've developed and that I get to serve for another 4 years. 4 years ago, we had 400 acres down in the Grove that was undeveloped. And because of my background with my business and because of the associations and relationships that I have around the community, I knew that I had something to offer. We needed to find out why they were not coming to Pleasant Grove and what we could do to be better at that.
So my name's Todd Williams, and I'm the new face up here. I joined or moved to Pleasant Grove about 10 years ago, after having moved from Arizona, originally from Salt Lake, Sandy area. Moved to Gilbert, Arizona, and then came back home and was working in Utah County, and decided to make Pleasant Grove home. As a technology executive here in Utah County, I review budgets every day, multi-million-dollar budgets, and I understand the differences between eliminating unnecessary expenditures and funding needed expenditures. The first thing I think that's the most important, and the question that I'm asked more than ever is how do I feel about roads? And I want to state publicly, I absolutely agree that our funds are in terrible disrepair, that we need to fund our roads. We need to, especially on the east side of Pleasant Grove, they've become a public safety hazard and a public nuisance, and we've got to figure out ways to fund those appropriately. I guess the question that we're going to learn tonight is, how do we do that? And so when I started to figure out whether I was going to run, and a few citizens were trying to get me to run because of my business background, I realized that there's a couple of different reasons why I believe I'd be a good choice on the City Council. And we're going to talk a little bit about those 3 tonight, but I'll briefly state the 3. Number 1 is economic development. I work with organizations every day. I've sat in the worldwide boardrooms of Pitney Bowes, Marriott, IBM, Southwest Airlines, Ford, AT&T, GE. I could go on. And I know what it takes to work with those businesses to come to Pleasant Grove. Now, I'm not advocating Ford come to Pleasant Grove, but there's businesses that need to come to Pleasant Grove that we can enjoy their tax money. Like I said, I told a few citizens today, we've got several thousand employees that work here and in the tower. I want their lunch money, and I want their lunch money tax. And all of that will help fund our roads and fund our economic development. I also want to bring, stay tuned.
All right, we'll get right into it. We're going to start with Blaine? Sorry.
Call me whatever.
I'll call you whatever. No. Blaine on this one, and we'll just go down the line back over to Ben to finish that off. So, first question, somewhere in my notes. Oh, there it is. What do you think is best about Pleasant Grove, and what is the worst?
You really want to start with me? Okay. What I think is best about Pleasant Grove is this is a beautiful city, sitting at the foot of perhaps one of the most stunning, beautiful mountains for miles and miles around. It's a city that people have chosen to live in, I believe, because they wanted to live in a quiet bedroom community. They didn't want to live in downtown Salt Lake or Provo or Orem. They wanted to be in a quiet bedroom community with a nice, quaint little downtown area. And so I think that's what's so nice about Pleasant Grove. The worst, I think everybody seems to recognize and understand, are roads. Our roads have been neglected and are in disrepair, and it's very obvious as soon as you cross the city line. And so I think everybody understands that's our worst feature, frankly, and we can fix it.
The best thing about Pleasant Grove is the people. I have a lot of memories in this town, and they're all about the people. My children have been co-raised with some of the best neighbors. I love that, so being an Air Force brat, and that's a term of endearment, I didn't know what a route was. And so when I moved to Pleasant Grove, beforehand I didn't know what I was missing. And when I saw what a root looked like in a family, I wanted that. And I want that for my children as well, and it's working. I love the fact that there were families, Walkers, Fugals, Oscarsons, that we all know and love, and that they stayed here. I love that about Pleasant Grove. That's the best thing. And I missed some names in there, and I apologize.
You know, the best thing about Pleasant Grove is the citizens. You know, for about 3 or 4 years, I was the district advancement chairman for the Timpanogos district for the Boy Scouts of America. And in that assignment with the Boy Scouts of America, I was able to see over 100 Eagle Scouts, your scouts, come, get interviewed, pick their project, come to me with an Eagle Board of Review, and we ultimately signed their paperwork, my wife and I. And I am absolutely amazed at the citizens and the grand parenting that has gone on across this city. So that's the best thing. I would say that the worst thing is how we've allowed roads to divide the city. We need to come together and find common ground, and I'm committed to doing that.
It has been well observed that the best thing about Pleasant Grove is the people in it. The volunteer spirit in this community, in this city that I love, is like none other I've ever seen anywhere in the world. And having grown up in a military family, I've lived in a lot of places. Pleasant Grove has people that are good in their hearts, pure gold in this community. As I knock doors and talk with people, overwhelmingly supportive, overwhelmingly eager to figure out how they can help us be successful as a city, me be successful as a city councilman, that want to help and build our community rather than allow the forces that would tear it down or tear people down. So I'm grateful for the good people in Pleasant Grove. That's what's best about our city. It's incredible. The challenges that we face, of course, are our infrastructure. We need to budget. We need to manage and take care of critical and essential needs in our community. We need to make sure that we do that in a way that's inclusive so every voice feels heard. We need processes in Pleasant Grove that are transparent and that make people feel like they had a voice in the process and a place at the table so that they're happy with the result.
Okay, the next question. If elected, what is your specific plan to encourage responsible corporate citizens to come to Pleasant Grove? And we'll start with Diana.
Say it one more time.
What is your specific plan to encourage responsible corporate citizens to come to Pleasant Grove?
Responsible corporate? Oh, that's easy. Been doing that. This is a really, we're actually in a very nice situation because we watched a lot of growth happening. We are a tweener. So watching a lot of businesses come to surrounding us, we're actually then, we had a lot of land, 400 acres. And that conversation is it's an easy sell, Pleasant Grove. We have great community, so we're a big draw for companies that employ a lot of people. We had to get into a situation where we were in a mood to say yes. We needed to put out our "We are open for business" sign, and doTERRA will probably never understand what it did for us. And I think all of us need to find a doTERRA owner and thank them, because that was the catalyst. And I'm very grateful that they're here.
You know, 40% of our budget currently comes from sales tax, and then of the general fund, and then 23% comes from property tax. It's imperative that now, during this economic boom, where we have low unemployment, high technology boom, that we play. And like Diana said, if we don't spend the next 4 years really working with organizations to come to Pleasant Grove, we're going to be tasked with footing the bill for the roads, for the infrastructure, for everything that goes on in the city. We know that the revenue per taxpayer in Pleasant Grove is half, and sometimes a third, what American Fork and Lehigh is. We have to play. And just like was just talked about in the mayoral debate, the incentives that are brought in, like the one that was done for doTERRA, is appropriate and applicable.
So we have a tremendous track record. The last few years have been fantastic for economic growth in Pleasant Grove. We brought in responsible corporate citizens. We've got one of the partners of St. John Properties here tonight that's brought a lot of great retail and office to Pleasant Grove and is in the process of building even more. And we're excited to see that. Grateful to have generous support there as well. Excited for the future of Pleasant Grove. We've done amazing things recently, and it's by being business friendly. You know, it's my friend Andy Waite who coined the term, let's open Pleasant Grove for business when he ran 4 years ago for the city council. Talked a lot about the importance of showing that kind of an attitude, that we would be working with developers, we would be working with businesses in responsible ways, thoughtful ways. And one of the things that I'm most pleased with and that I get compliments about always on the campaign trail is the fact that I have done that in a way that has never forgotten that I have a fiduciary obligation to the taxpayers of Pleasant Grove, and we've done the right thing to bring businesses in a responsible and thoughtful way.
Economic development, I think, is often misunderstood. And I think one of the main reasons we have lagged behind the economic development curve of other cities is we haven't provided a stable enough political environment that business owners know how to operate within that. And they've found it easier to go to other cities to operate. So that fact is, I think, the center of what my plan would be to help draw in responsible corporate partners here. We have to provide a stable economic environment that is open for business and welcoming businesses, and help them be able to predict what's going to happen and not worry about unforeseen changes in the political environment.
Okay, sticking on the business side of questions, I had one of our chamber members ask, what do you see as the role of the Chamber of Commerce with the city moving forward? And we'll start with Todd on that one.
You know, I love what Chamber of Commerce organizations can do for a city, because it's, can you hear me okay? Is that coming through all right? Because it's the partnership. Right? It's the partnership between the city council, the citizens, and the commerce that goes on within the city. So I absolutely feel strong relationships, strong team building, and coming to a mind of togetherness, I guess is just the easiest way to say this, so that all of us are moving forward in a similar path along the way.
We've got an incredible Chamber of Commerce. With Josh as the moderator, I think I'm obliged to say that he's done a remarkable job. We just recently, not that long ago, combined the Pleasant Grove and the Lindon Chambers of Commerce and empowered them to do a lot of good work in our community with an effort to make the chamber dynamic and independent of the city's eventually operating arm that could really be a network and a support for existing businesses, and to continue to bring in new businesses. I've met with the chamber members, I've attended board meetings, I've gone to almost every chamber event. I love what the Chamber of Commerce has done here in Pleasant Grove and what they're doing for each of us. It's a vital part of a comprehensive approach to making sure that we are business friendly and getting government where appropriate out of the way so that businesses can succeed and that they can network together and advertise together and strengthen and support each other in ways that ultimately come to the benefit of all of us in Pleasant Grove.
I think the Chamber can play a very important and a vital role in economic development. I think their role is to be this voice, this representation from the business community of the economic opportunities that exist in Pleasant Grove. And so it can also be a networking opportunity for existing businesses and a support for local businesses. But it has to be careful not to be perceived as part of the government itself. It can be a liaison, but I think to be most effective, it needs to remain distanced slightly so that businesses can view it as a true friend of business and not really an arm of the government. So I think there's a really vital role, and as Ben suggested, I think our Chamber of Commerce does a very good job here welcoming and inviting business here.
I love the Chamber. I've actually been on the board for many years, and this is the Chamber events, and I say this about any networking, but especially the Chamber. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. And the Chamber creates opportunities where people who own businesses get to mingle, meet, learn, they have guests, about another service within the city. So then they can go out and then they can, it's literally you're creating a sales force at an event. You're explaining what you do, people are learning about it, and then they go home and they say, okay, hey, guess what? I met a plumber. So the next time you're having a conversation, somebody says, hey, I need a plumber. You say, I know exactly who you need to go meet. So the Chamber plays a vital role in keeping our dollars and services here in our town.
Okay, we're going to move on to the question that everybody's been waiting for. Do you support Prop 3? Why or why not? I think, Ben, we're back to you.
So on my table out here, there's an article I wrote back before the initiative sponsors of Proposition 3 gathered their thousands of signatures where I expressed some of my opinions. I'm widely seen as the member of the council currently who's most open to the idea that we need to prioritize our roads. I told people back in the spring and summer that the best thing you could do is vote yes if you want your roads to be a higher priority. It could be a very healing thing for our community to take care of this critical need, and it's very flexible. If you don't want roads to be a higher priority, you vote no. It's basically that simple. As it's gotten closer to the election season, I've encouraged people, hopefully our city will take some action and come up with a solution so there's an alternative. Right now it looks like there's no other option, and so with no other option, it makes a lot of sense to do this for the benefit of our city employees, for the benefit of our city residents, to take care of roads and make that priority something that can be a solution rather than a civil war in our city, and start working on answers and solutions and taking action. I am not a fan of neglect.
Doesn't this one get 2 minutes?
Probably should.
I support Proposition 3, and the reason is this year, on February 28th, our council had the opportunity to allocate new revenues that they didn't have in the budget before this year to the various uses they were going to put it to, and they chose to put $0 of the new revenue coming into the city this year to roads. This has been the problem we've had in Pleasant Grove, is we are underfunding our roads to a very significant amount. We have increased spending in every other department for years and have neglected our roads, and it has been at the expense of our roads. And so for that reason, I fully support Proposition 3. We have to address this problem because the problem is getting significantly bigger the longer we wait.
We've been in discussion about, I have been sitting on council so that you understand that. We have been talking about road funding for 4 years. Provo 4 years ago passed a road fee, and we started watching it. We wanted to know who was going to participate in it because of the non-taxing entities, the hospitals and the schools, because half of their city is. We wanted to see how the citizens reacted to it, and we wanted to see what Provo got done. We were very satisfied with the results. We were talking about road fee, a road transportation fee or a transportation utility fee. That would be on your utility bill, a line item, and it would be about $8, between $4 and $10, and we were discussing that. Prop 3 stopped that. I am 100% opposed to Prop 3. Absolutely opposed.
Let me say it this way. I support 2.65 million. I support 3.65 million. But Prop 3 is not the answer. Just allocating 21% of our budget into hyperfunding one aspect of our budget is irresponsible and wrong. I wouldn't hyperfund tree planting for our city, right? So the fact of just hyperfunding one aspect, regardless of how important it is, and with no plan for any other backfill or funding of that backfill, is irresponsible and wrong. I am opposed to Prop 3.
I'd like to exercise my right of rebuttal, if that's all right.
Sure. Christina, we'll give him 30 seconds. As soon as she gives you the nod.
I think it really is important that people get the facts and get good information on this particular issue. Again, I have an op-ed piece that I wrote for the Daily Herald that I'd encourage you to read. I've heard it said from time to time that addressing the roads is hyperfunding when it's minimally funding a critical need. I've heard it said from time to time that the citizens expressing a desire that we not kick the can on a critical need somehow stopped the council's action. I've never seen compelling evidence for that claim, ever.
Blaine?
I think one of the major misunderstandings going on in Pleasant Grove right now is the basic paradigm. We have been growing and increasing spending in every other department and neglecting roads. So now suddenly a proposition to prioritize road funding is somehow viewed as extreme and a ridiculous approach. We have to take care of all of our budgetary needs. We need to budget for the entire budget.
Are we all rebutting, or what? We all.
Everybody gets 30 seconds.
All right.
Yeah.
We're all partying with the rebuttal. When I first got in 2014, I think we were less than $500,000 in our road funding. We're paying off a bond. This year, out of general fund, we're at $425,000, and this year we spent $1.7 million in road projects. We have been working on roads. Other departments are not increasing at an exorbitant amount of speed, and roads are not my most important thing in my town.
I want to agree with Blaine because Blaine said that we have to fund all aspects of our town. We do have to fund all aspects of our town. And when we recklessly take 20%, we can't fund all aspects of our town.
Okay, along that same vein, how do you differentiate between wants and needs when tough decisions need to be made? We'll start with Blaine.
Start with me. Wants and needs. That's been a great discussion we've had many times in Pleasant Grove. I think it's actually simpler than we make it out to be. And you have to deal with the needs first. You have to deal with essential services first. It's really basic. We all deal with this in our own personal budgets. We apply these principles, every one of us, every time we go to the grocery store. You have to deal with essential services first and then deal with the non-essential services. And I think the citizens of Pleasant Grove are looking for the leadership that will actually make that happen. When the citizens see that we put essential services first, they then, I think, will have confidence that we're really doing serious budgeting. And I think they will adequately support all of our other needs in the city if we put the priorities first.
So I had a really good friend say, so what's the most important service in the town? It's the one you're using at that moment. If you're flushing the toilet, that's the most important thing on the planet. If your mom is laying on your bathroom floor and a very sweet, kind paramedic comes and picks her up and puts her in the ambulance, that guy is the most important thing of our city. If your daughter, your 4-year-old daughter, is learning how to swim at the pool and later turns around and saves another daughter from drowning. That swim lesson was the most important thing in our town. We have 9 different departments. They all need to be funded. We are working at solutions. We are making sure that when you need an employee, that they're there to help you, because
Man, I want to know what her answer was.
I'm very good at clocks.
All right, you can start my time. You know, we all have wants, but I really firmly believe that we're a city of needs. The roads are important. The public utilities are important. Public safety is important. The services are important. All of the things that we currently enjoy in this great city are our needs. And I understand the argument with Prop 3. I absolutely understand that. But we have a diverse citizenship that has grown to love some of the needs and the wants and the desires that we have in the city, and it would be irresponsible of me to say that that's not important to you. And so as an elected official, hope to be elected official, I want to represent the citizens. And the citizens believe, I believe as a majority, that all of the wants and the needs that we currently have in the city should be funded.
So the question was actually about how you distinguish between wants and needs. When you distinguish between wants and needs, you've got to do it the way you do it in your private budgets. You know, as around kitchen tables, our food insecure senior citizens, our residents that are on fixed incomes, single parent homes have to make tough budgetary decisions. And when we raise taxes without regard for prioritizing or budgeting, it puts the burden of the difficult decisions on our residents. I have often said that the way we need to budget is the exact same way we do in a home around a kitchen table. We've got to figure out what the priorities are, what are the most essential things. Everything can't be the highest priority, and the roads are something that everybody uses. Our public safety is something that everybody in the city uses in some form or another. Those kinds of things need to have a priority, and we need to solve it and approach it in a way that's responsible and thoughtful and careful. So the way to do that, of course, is with discipline, with real fiscal discipline that would unite and build trust and build community in Pleasant Grove.
So they'd like to do the rebuttal. We'll start again with Blaine as soon as she gives you the nod.
This is not so much a rebuttal, but I want to talk about what I think is somewhat of a deception that's going on in some of our discussion, and as a city, I mean. And that is that somehow what we're currently doing is funding all of our services. That's not true. We're not funding the largest budget segment dollar-wise in our budget. We're neglecting it. So we're not doing it now.
The beautiful thing that's happened in the last 4 years is that we have increased road funding, and it has not diminished services that we are currently using. Every year from January until June, the City Council reviews the budget. We've only raised the tax, a tax, and that was voted on by the people, and that was to bond for the public safety building. There have been incremental increases in sewer, stormwater. Rebuttal time is just so much shorter.
And Josh, I don't need rebuttal time.
Okay.
You get his?
Can I have a minute then? No, I'm just kidding. But I'll never let 30 seconds even go to waste. I'm happy to to talk in greater detail about the issues related to roads, again, I encourage people to read the facts, study my article, read the arguments. I posted in anticipation of this debate tonight, for those that do use Facebook, the city has official pro and con arguments about the need to fund roads, but we've got to prioritize, we've got to budget in ways that meet the critical needs, the things that everybody uses, and there's a way to do that. Check out voteben.com, grab some literature, grab a yard sign before you leave tonight. Thanks.
What's that?
Okay, next question. I believe we're starting with Diana now, right? Do you feel you can heal the divide that exists in our community, and how?
Let me explain the divide. There's two ideas of thinking right now going on. One of them is that the proper role of government is public works and public safety. The other side of town feels that they like community, and that they want community funded, and that would be the pool, the rec center, the library, and the rec programs that use the parks and the parks. Those are the two ideal ideas. The divide happens when someone on one side hears what somebody else is thinking on the other side and disagrees and thinks they're an idiot. That's the divide. When someone thinks differently and you think that they're an idiot, and then it gets mean-spirited, and then they attack your personal life and your personal views, that's the divide. I have always been open to conversation. I've always been open to listening. And I think at that point I can heal the divide.
You know, Thomas Jefferson said, "I never considered a difference of opinion in politics, in religion, in philosophy, as a cause for withdrawing from a friend." And I firmly believe that. You know, I had a son a couple of years ago that served as the Pleasant Grove student body president at PG High, Nicholas Williams. And he walked to the top of G Mountain every chance he could get to light that G. And I'd sit in my kitchen window and look out and see Nicholas up on top of the G, and was proud of Pleasant Grove. But my view from my kitchen window is different than Diana's view or Blaine's view, because we live in different spots. Our activities, our differences lend to our perceptions and our realities and our histories. It's important that we come together as a city and look at that G the very same way that's lit on the hill, and come together in common ground.
Yes, that's one of my highest priorities, is the uniting and healing of our community, and it begins with not mischaracterizing people's positions. It begins with being a sincere friend. That was a quote by Abraham Lincoln, that the best way to win a person to your cause is to be a sincere friend. If we could work together, if we could be inclusive and listen to each other, compromise, keep people in office that know how to work with businesses, work with residents, with other individuals, and continue to elect people that will work together and solve things and compromise and actually address issues without excluding people or trying to silence residents, but or declaring war on an idea without a fair vetting or fair analysis, but actually express correct facts and work together, we would have a united community, and everyone would come to the table and feel like they were part of the process. That's why I have preached from the day I first took office 4 years ago an inclusive approach. Inclusivity is universally the right thing to do and will heal our city.
I believe the root cause of the divide is the spending problem that we have. And so in order to bridge the divide, we have to stop spending the way we are. That is why you have really two sides now in the city, is because we're neglecting the largest part of our budget, roads. And if you want to heal the divide, I think you do that by doing the hard budgeting, by working together as a community, as a council, to have the hard discussion with the employees of the city and go through the budget in great detail and budget for all of our needs. If we do that, we can fund all of the needs in our city, and we will bridge the divide.
Okay, this will be our final question. And okay, for the closing remarks, we'll give each candidate 90 seconds to finish up and say whatever they feel they need to say. And so as soon as Christina's ready, we'll start with Ben.
Thanks. Grateful to be able to start off the final closing remarks too. One of the traditions I have that's just an odd tradition that I love is at the end of a debate, I like to compliment my opponents or the other candidates running. Blaine, I've been very impressed with his service to the community, his brilliant mind, his courageous approach. Martin Luther King Jr. once said that more tragic than cruelty and oppression by bad people is silence by good people, and I've admired the fact that Blaine has never been silent. He speaks up for good principles and is a tremendous advocate, a courageous, fearless advocate for so much of our city. Diana is right about how much time it takes to serve on the city council. We put in dozens and dozens of hours every week talking to citizens, serving, going to ribbon cuttings, and I see her at so many events. I appreciate her hard work. She is doing hard work for the city of Pleasant Grove. We don't agree on everything, but we agree on an awful lot, and she's one of the first I talk to when there's something to build common ground on. And Todd, I've talked to his neighbors. In fact, I'm honored to have a lot of support from many of his good neighbors, and we've had a good lunch. And they tell me about his service in the scouting organization, and I admire that. I'm an Eagle Scout, love the scouting program. My grandfather was a Silver Beaver and Buffalo and everything else you can be. Grateful for good people willing to serve. We have good choices. I'm the first name you'll see on your ballot. I hope I have your first vote. And then if there's somebody you like even more than me, then give me your second vote. But Ben Stanley, voteben.com. Come to my table. Thanks.
I believe in Pleasant Grove. I believe in the people of Pleasant Grove. I think the citizens readily know what our priorities are. We need to elect principled leadership and qualified representation that will represent those citizens and their needs. I believe firmly that we can fix our roads. We can maintain our infrastructure, and we can maintain all of our other services here in Pleasant Grove. I believe we may even be able to do it without a tax increase. But to be able to do that, you have to do the hard budgeting. You have to review seriously every aspect of the budget. And so, if you want to solve the divide, if you want to bring this community together and solve our roads and other problems, you've got to elect people who believe that it can be done. People who don't believe it can be done aren't going to truly balance the budget. And though people claim our budget is balanced, it is not. We aren't dealing with certain elements of our budget, roads primarily. I believe it can be done. VoteBlaine.com.
There's a couple of things that I really believe that I do well. And one of them is that, I listen. I believe that my role as a counselor is to be a part of a team. And I'm usually a very good team player. I like to listen, I like to educate myself, and I like to make decisions as a team. We study a lot. I try really, really hard to not have my mind made up when I come to council. I am waiting for someone to tell me something, teach me something, give me something else to use to make a decision. I love to listen to the residents, especially those that are going to be completely affected. I will say this, that I have noticed that there are some people who yell loud. Sometimes it's not that person that's yelling the loudest that I like to listen to. I have friends who are living really, really great lives, and they don't have time to come to council, and they don't have time to yell loud. I want to represent those people. I want to get to those people, and I want to listen to them. I want to understand what's important to them. And that's how I go about making my decisions.
You know, I've been asked a lot, why in the world would you enter this race? And you know, you've got to be a little naive to enter this race, because we've kind of positioned our city where no one wants to enter. I want to see a city where all of us can enter and bring our ideas forward. You know, we need people that can identify solutions and move forward. I am the new face. I'm the only one that's never run before, and I think that's helpful. I think it gives a fresh perspective, a fresh face, new ideas, and I'm in it to bring us together and oppose the negativity that's kind of come upon us. I think finally, in the last 40 seconds, we need individuals in our city who have the experiences to grow revenues, collaborate with citizens, and ultimately make decisions that improve our Grove. I'm committed to that. I'm committed to doing what it takes to heal the divide and to be your voice. Abraham Lincoln said it best when he said the best way to predict the future is to create it. Let's go do that. Let's go create the future.
We'd like to thank all of the candidates, both mayoral and city council candidates, for coming out tonight. Let's give them a round of applause one more time. So really quickly, a couple of closing remarks. So 21 years ago, Mike Daniels, who's our current mayor, approached this city with an idea about a park, Discovery Park. And the community hopped on board. They said, you know what, this is a great idea, let's do it. And so they brought in a company, they designed the park, and they got the community involved. And suddenly, everyone forgot about all their problems with each other, because guess what? 21 years ago, people had problems with each other and they disagreed still. But they came together and were united in an act of good for the community. And that has made a lasting impression on generations of people. So I'm excited to announce that Art Maxwell, who was one of the students his senior year in high school, he came in several days and worked on that park. He's agreed to chair the Rediscover Discovery Park initiative, and this is with the Fredette Foundation and doTERRA and the Chamber of Commerce. We're all working together to rebuild Discovery Park, and this whole initiative is all about, the theme is Choose Kindness, PG. And you'll see a lot of information coming out about how we're going to work towards a rebuild of Discovery Park to make it accessible for everyone, just like the all-inclusive park in Orem. And this is going to be, once again, an initiative to bring the community together with a goal in mind to make the community a better place to live. So whether your issues are with the roads or any particular person on the city council or a city employee or how the city is growing, whatever your issues are, the only constant in life is change. And so as you move forward, just remember that we are all here together in this community, and we need to learn to love and respect each other as citizens in this community. It's unfortunate, the things that are being said on social media. And I call everyone right now to choose kindness. Be kind to each other. Just because you say it on social media doesn't mean it's acceptable. Things that you would never say to a person in real life. I've seen what's said, and it's unfortunate that people get into arguments that they don't have to get into. Choose kindness. And as you look at who you're going to vote for, because every candidate here that has been on this stage is giving their time, their energy, their dedication to the city to make it a better place. So as you vote, just remember that we're all in this together, and I plead with you to choose kindness. Treat each other with respect. Only in that scenario will we be able to get things done, when we come together to build a park. And that park will be built in 7 days, 7 to 10 days. It's because we chose to come together and work together towards a common goal and towards the common good. That is how the roads are going to get fixed, is when you choose to come together and work together for the common good. I appreciate everyone coming out today. Let's give doTERRA one last round of applause. And finally, Macy's was good enough to donate a bunch of cookies, and so we'll set those up on the table as you head out. You're welcome to grab a cookie as you go. Thanks, everyone.